Welcome to the Clean Air series, where we talk about the air that you breathe. In our previous episode, we talked about PM 2.5, its harmful effects, how to measure it, where it is. Today, we're going to talk about ways to mitigate PM 2.5 particles and some misconceptions and marketing associated with devices that are advertised to get rid of PM 2.5. So how do we sort through the red tape and get to the truth? So the proven method to get rid of, or shall we say mitigate PM 2.5 particles, is to capture them. And the best way to do that is with an air filtration system. So since 1987, air filtration systems have been tested and rated with what's called the MERV system, which was developed by ASHRAE. So ASHRAE stands for American Society of Heating, Refrigeration, and Air Conditioning Engineers. So they're the ones who developed the MERV rating system, which we're just about to talk about. And so what is a MERV? Take a look at this slide, and in this slide, you'll see that the MERV rating system stands for Minimum Efficiency Reporting Value. And if you take a look at the slide, you'll see that on the left-hand column, there's three columns that we need to focus on. On the left-hand column is the range, the first range number 1, okay? And it is particles that are what we call nanoparticles, so those ultrafine particles from 0.3 to 1 microns. So that would be our buddy the coronavirus is a nanoparticle. Then you'll see the next column over, that's range 2, and those are the particles that are from 1 to 3 microns. That's where our PM 2.5 particles are in. That's in the middle column. And then the furthest column on the right of those three is range, the range 3, which are the 3 to 10 micron particles. Anything above 10 is pretty much not considered worth worrying about because they're heavy particles and they just fall out of the air and they are not freely floating around in the air. And so we don't get concerned about anything over 10 microns. Okay? And so as you go down, you'll find out that the MERV ratings essentially have the MERV rating based on what percentage it catches in all three of those columns. So take a look at MERV 8. MERV 8, you'll see, is the entry into PM 2.5 capture. It doesn't capture any nanoparticles. It does do a decent job of catching the 3 to 10 micron particles, but it only catches 20% of the PM 2.5 particles. And then you go all the way up to MERV 16, which is the top end of the MERV rating system. And you'll see that in order for a filter to have a MERV 16 rating, it has to catch 95% of all three categories. Now, it's kind of a no-brainer. If it can catch 95% of the 0.3 to 1 micron particles, of course it's going to easily capture 95% of the range 2 and the range 3 particles. But that's the MERV system in a nutshell, and filters have been rated by the MERV rating system since 1987. In the previous episode, I talked about my first laser particle counter. And what I learned when I got my hands on my first laser particle counter is that there are a lot of part truths in the marketing of air filters. The second thing that I learned was there are some really good air filters out there, and there are a lot of very poor air filters out there. So one of the red flags that you should be looking for as a consumer, if you want to be trying to capture those PM 2.5 particles in your home, is does it have a MERV rating? If it doesn't, then I'll just give you an example. There is a particular type of filter, and I'll just tell you I hate them, and they're called electrostatic air filters. And I just looked at one the other day on the internet just for fun, and it says it has a 97% arrestance. Sounds really good, right? You as a consumer, you say, wow, 97% arrestance. Well, guess what? Arrestance hasn't been used since 1987. That was the old way they used to measure how good an air filter was. And it's really simple. You weigh some dust and you weigh some filter. You put the filter in a duct and you shake some dust into the duct with the air blowing through it, and the filter catches it, and you weigh how much dust the filter caught. No microns, no nothing. It's just the old arrestance system. Somebody is still marketing a filter right now on the internet that tells you it's 97% arrestance. Well, to me, that's 97% horse manure. So you have to look out for that. Okay? The second thing is not all air filters actually have to be rated by the MERV system. Electronic air cleaners are one of those. They are rated by a different system called the CADAR. I'm not going to go into that. That's for an episode later, but I'm just telling you they don't have to be rated by the MERV rating system. And so there was an electronic air cleaner that I tested recently, and it's very popular, and a lot of heating and air conditioning contractors are selling these, and they claim a 97% efficiency. They don't say arrestance, they say 97% efficiency. And so I put one in my test lab, and I ran it for about a month, and what I found was that it was about 68% efficient. That's a long ways from 97% efficiency. Well, if you look at their literature, what you see is that it reaches 97% efficiency on multiple passes. Okay, well, what the heck does that mean? That means if you put this filter in a lab and you circulate the air in a test chamber. If you put that filter in a test chamber and you let it circulate the air through it over and over and over and over again, it eventually will catch 97% of the dust in the air, or the particulate that's in the air. Well, just about any crappy air filter, if you just circulate the air through it over and over and over again, it's eventually going to catch 97% of the particulate that's in the air. So that's cheating. The MERV system says, okay, how much particulate does a filter catch on one pass? And that's an honest, fair evaluation of how good an air filter is. Okay, it's time to buy a filter. What kind of filter should you buy? Well, obviously, I believe you should buy one that has a MERV rating, okay? But what MERV rating should you get? Well, currently, the minimum standard that most official organizations think you should have, and so let's talk about official organizations. Let's say you have a home that was built to Energy Star standards. That's a next higher level of efficiency of a home to build, okay? That has to have a MERV 13 air filtration system. If it's a LEED certified home, it has to have an MERV 13 air filtration system. If the home is built in California, you have to have a MERV 13 filter, otherwise the home will not pass inspection. So anytime a furnace or air conditioner is replaced in California, you have to upgrade the air filtration system, otherwise it will not pass inspection. So why MERV 13? Well, let's bring up the MERV 13 chart again for just a minute, and you'll notice that a MERV 13 now catches some of those nanoparticles. It catches 50% of the tiny nanoparticles, but it catches 85% of the PM 2.5 particles. That's great. Of course, it catches 100% of the coarse particles, the 3 to 10 micron size particles. But that's why a MERV 13 is kind of the new standard for air filtration. In any new government buildings that are built, they have to have MERV 13 filters in them. And you can see why. It catches a very high percentage of those PM 2.5 particles. Okay, but like I said in the previous episode, how many PM 2.5 particles do you really want to be breathing? Well, I want to be breathing 0, thank you. And so with the MERV 13, it's still got 15% that it's not catching. And so maybe we should look at the next level. The current level of most air filtration systems, like I said, is a MERV rating system. Beyond the MERV rating system is the HEPA rating system. And we're going to be talking about HEPA rating systems in the next episode. And we'll see you there.